All right, boys, today's video, a little bit of a story time. I want to take you back to last year on this very island. I was in Koh Samui and I decided to run around the entire island. Now, for those who don't know, I'll put a screenshot of the island somewhere on the screen here. It's a big old fucker. It was around 65 kilometers. Now, this was back in 2024. We're obviously in 2025 now. I want to take you back to pretty much where the idea came from, why I did it, and the whole experience. So maybe you have a bit of understanding as to what the fuck happened. Now, 2023, I remember I just got into running. I basically did my first ever 5K. And then the way I'm kind of wired in my brain, I always just want the next thing. I want to progress. So I did a 5K and then I got to like a sub 20 minute. I threw up. I remember that was pretty brutal. I got like a 19-minute 5K. That was horrendous. Then after that, I was like, right, well, we've kind of completed that. What's next? So I did a 10K. And then I just one day just decided, fuck it, let's do a half marathon. So I did, from my house, I ran to, what was it? Windsor Castle. That was cool. I just ran to Windsor and it was like 25, 30 something kilometers, I'm not sure. And yeah, it wasn't good. Wasn't, I didn't train for it or anything. I just kind of did it and yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. And basically from there, I decided, fuck it. I've done the half marathon. That's enough training. Let's do a marathon. So I went to Battersea Park. And my only training was a half marathon. I ran a marathon and I did it in around 4.5 hours. Destroyed my legs, pretty horrendous, but it was a good experience. Ticked that one off, got the marathon. That was in 2023. And I moved to Thailand the next year in 2024. And my logic was that you need to keep pushing the limits. You need to keep getting better in one shape or form. So I was like, right, well, if I do another marathon and, we're not really getting better, we've done that already. So what's the next step? Ultra marathon. Okay, how large is this island? Oh, funnily enough, it's 55 kilometers if you go on the main road, but if you go a little bit further, it's 65. So I was like, fuck it, let's do it. So I did the ultra marathon. Now the rationale behind it was exactly what I said. I think every single year you've got to push the limits. You've got to do something you do not want to do. So basically, I ran that ultra marathon. I did 65 kilometers around the island. And for those who actually haven't seen the video, I documented it all. I posted a video on this exact channel. So if you want to go check that out, I can try and put a link on. It's on the channel. Just type it in. Running 65 kilometers around Koh Samui. Now, in hindsight, that was a bit of a stupid idea. Reason why is because the only training I did for that 65 kilometers was 5 kilometers. I did that and said, yep, lungs are working, we're all good, and then decided, fuck it, let's do it the next day. And to be honest with you, it was horrible. I got to around 30 kilometers, pretty good to be fair, and after that, I just couldn't walk, let alone run. I had to limp. So basically, the last 35 kilometers took me around 8 hours. I took 12 hours to do that, by the way, which I'm going to hold my hands up, is horrendous. It's fucking terrible. But that's because I did the 30 kilometers in around 4 hours, which isn't great. But, with the hills in Thailand being hot and humid, it's pretty respectful. But the lack of training definitely showed up in the form of me having no ankles and or knees. And as a result, the last 35 took 8 hours, which was pretty long. Now, I learned a lot of things doing this run, which I want to share with you. First off, one, pain is not necessarily real. Now, it sounds crazy. I know what you're saying. What the fuck's this guy on about? He's waffling. I got to a point where obviously the pain was just evident, it was there. But after a while, when you realize this is your reality for the next 8, 9, 10 hours, you kind of just deal with it and you just accept it and go, right, okay, brain, I understand this hurts. Thank you for giving me the signal. And then you basically just kind of ignore it. So it's quite mad, the willpower that it required, but what kind of came after, how I managed to continue. That was pretty cool. That was the first thing. Second of all, and the reason why I did the ultra marathon, the reason I did the marathon is because basically I'm a little bit delusional in the sense that I believe I can just do anything. And I think I proved it by doing it, that you can do it. Because what it proved to me was, and it's undeniable proof in the form of pain, that you can do whatever the fuck you want to do, regardless of what anyone says. The amount of people who told me, said, no, you cannot do that. You have to train. You really don't. Yeah, it might take longer, but you don't have to train. You can do it. Right? And I think it's more than just the actual run that is important here. It's the actual idea of doing things regardless of what people say, basically just breaking through any sort of limitations that you set on your mind. The only limits that exist are the ones that you set for yourself or people or society set for you. My best advice, and something that I learned from doing these runs and continually proving this to myself, is essentially that there are no such things as limits. They're just fucking guys, it's not real. So if you just start to ignore them, how successful would you be in your overall life if you just realize you can do whatever you want? Like, you have free will. There's no rules. You can go and run a marathon. If you're watching this right now, you can go and run a marathon tomorrow. You fully can. Maybe you can't run it, you have to walk it, but you could do a marathon and you could tick that off your bucket list forever, 100%. The only reason why you believe you can't is because every single person has told you that it's bullshit, oh, you can't do it, and you believe it. But if we actually just sit down on paper and you get someone who actually would believe in you, or someone who is a little bit delusional like myself, I'll just tell you, yeah, of course you can, because I've done it. And it's not that deep. Like, it's painful, but like, fuck it. Like, you can do it, you have free will. So be careful who you listen to. You know, just because everyone says something doesn't mean it's true. 1,000 people can say one thing, doesn't mean it's fucking true. Don't take everything at face value. Pinch of salt. And it was a great experience. The only problem with this now, right, is I've created this system of just, I've got to keep one-upping everything. Now, I've done an ultramarathon. What the fuck's next? Because I think the next one is 100 kilometers, which, frankly, I don't really want to do, but I feel like I have to. Because this year, right, I did a photo shoot. I got myself to around 6% body fat, which is a big win. I can't say that's more than an ultramarathon. I also did a high rocks with zero training. That was fucking hard as well. And with the same logic, the reason I did it with zero training is because, I'll be honest with you, I'm really, really kind of all in on bodybuilding at the moment. I don't want to be wasting time training for a fucking high rocks. However, I probably should have in hindsight, because it was really hard. Fair play to you CrossFit guys. It was pretty hard. I managed to do it though, solo. It's not a great time. Again, filmed all of that, documented that, so if you want to watch that, that's on the channel. So high rocks and photo shoot. Next challenge is kind of a 140 kilogram bench, but to be honest with you, I can't say that's more than the ultramarathon. So if I'm going to be completely frank, the next two challenges that I'm looking at potentially doing are a 1 and 100 kilometer ultra, that will have to be done, and two, some sort of boxing or Muay Thai fight. That will be the next one. That will be my next sort of challenge that I push myself through. And I recommend to anyone here, if you haven't done the half marathon, the ultra marathon, just do it, like regardless of what situation you're in. Like, I'm personally someone who classifies as a bodybuilder. This is not productive for my goals, but I just do it because I believe it's so important. One of my biggest kind of core philosophies is essentially just reaching your full potential and just seeing what you can do. I think it's so exciting to just see kind of like what your full potential is, what you're actually capable of, and just pushing the limits and just seeing what you can actually do. Like, if you were to like listen to no one. And when you do that and you continually just surprise yourself, you become so much more confident, because even if you forget, even if people try and downplay it, deep down what the fuck you did and what you had to go through, and it just unlocks this new inner fucking beast inside you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I downplay it, like when I did that ultra marathon, I forget about like, yeah, it was all cool and everything. But there were times where like I remember it very well. I ran around this road on the bottom left of the island, no phone, no water, I had no money, because basically my card was on my phone. So I literally couldn't buy anything as well, and I had no cash. And I ran for 3 hours. And by the way, this was the time when I was like walking / limping. So I was like running / limping for 3 hours. And there was no cars, there was no people. This was like the back road. And it was just me and my thoughts. And I was just fucking like, this is terrible. Like, why have I done this? I entered a bit of a state of hysteria. This is mental. But you get through it. You do it. You realize you're not made of fucking glass. Or at least you're not, you can handle a little bit more than you think. And consequently, that shit sticks with you. And as a result, you toughen yourself up. So my advice to anyone watching is do some hard shit. You'll increase your confidence, because it's undeniable proof that you are the fucking G. Because you did it. You didn't talk about it, you did it. And whether you forget it or not, you did do it. Trust me, my knee and my hip remember, as they are absolutely fucked. I'm currently working my mobility, and it's not ideal. But anyway, that was the rationale behind the ultramarathon, and it was definitely something that I need to keep doing. Something that you need to keep doing as well. Continually challenge yourself, continually push. Like I said, it was not productive for any of my goals, but the big thing it did do was really, really kind of show me that you can do whatever the fuck you want. And understand, I'm just talking about an ultramarathon here. I'm just talking about, just a physical event. What if you were to take exactly what I just said and use it in your entire life? Not just physically, but mentally, professionally, with any sort of thing. Imagine what people have told you that you cannot do, and then just say, fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyway. Most people say, you gotta go to university, you gotta go get a job, right? And you gotta go and work this route. And if 1,000 people say it around you, you'll believe it. But what I'm challenging you to do here is actually stop believing it, take everything with a pinch of salt and just say, well, I don't wanna do that, I'm gonna do this. Even though 1,000 people say it's impossible, I'm gonna do it anyway. And then you do it. And then once you build this habit of not listening to everyone and like basing your decisions on the influence of other people, you can just unlock this true level of freedom where you can do whatever the fuck you want. I listen to people, I take people's advice, but at face value. It doesn't influence my other decisions. I use the data to make, cool, maybe I'll make this decision. But that's the biggest thing, you know? Just really pushing the limits and realizing that you can do whatever you want. That's what the ultramarathon taught me, you know? A really productive event. Something I might have to recreate. Maybe I'll do it again. I don't know. I think the fight will come quicker. I think the 100 kilometers will come quicker, but we'll see. For any of the loyal fans who are watching all of my videos, I'm going to Bali next month. I don't really like to talk too much about kind of what I do, like what my future plans are. However, I know only the OGs are watching this, so I'm going to Bali next month. There's going to be some interesting content. It's going to be pretty cool. Now, I got a fun idea. There's two parts of Bali. The main part is Canggu and Uluwatu. Canggu is over here, and Uluwatu is like the furthest south of Bali. Now, they're 55 kilometers apart. So I think 100% I'm gonna run from there and I'm gonna document it. But now I have more power at my disposal. I have better cameras. I have friends who can help me out with videography. So we're gonna make a fucking movie. And I'm gonna do that again. And the idea is maybe all of these little wins, the high rocks training, the photo shoot prep, that 55 kilometer run, the 140 kg bench, I guess that could trump the ultramarathon. We will see. Maybe I have to throw in a little 100k before the end of the year, but that's kind of where I'm at. And that's the story of why I ran 55 kilometers around the entire island of Koh Samui, and why you should do the same too. Why challenging yourself is a very fun and productive activity, and why you should not listen to what everyone says. You can do so much more than you think. And remember, I don't know about you, but my goal, and what my goal is to help with my clients as well, is to reach the full potential. I think it's, a Socrates quote, it's a shame for a man to grow old and not see what the true capabilities of their physique and body really is. That's nearly the quote, give or take a few words. But I really like that quote. I think it is a shame for you to die and not see your full potential. So stop listening to people who say you can't do things, do them anyway, and you'll realize you're not made of glass, you can do a lot more than you think. And that translates not only physically, but actually into every other aspect of your life. And do that, and your life will change. Cheers. That's all from me today. Catch you tomorrow. All the best.